Hello and welcome to the first NEXTGames video where I actually talk. In this video I wanted to go over how my ninja is set up so that others who want to replicate some of the strategies I use in my videos can do so more easily. Before I do that, I wanted to give a little history of my time in Final Fantasy XI as it relates to how I'm recently geared. I actually started playing right when the game came out in 2003 in North America. Played extremely heavily from 2003 to 2013, leading a few endgame link shells on Phoenix server called Clan of Chaos and eventually Timeless. That was a lot of fun, but sadly everyone eventually ended up growing up and having kids and pulling all of us away from the game, so the link shell actually broke up and everyone kind of stopped playing. However, for the last 6 years I've actually ended up playing off and on, but haven't actually joined any other link shells or groups. So I have been actually playing solo for the last 6 years, so this is how it actually relates to my gear, is everything you're going to see in this video in regards to what I use can be obtained completely solo if you're on Ninja. That's what I've used to get all this stuff. Of course, some of it is going to be rather time consuming because you may not quite acquire it as quickly as you would with a group, but all of it's completely attainable for the solo person. So that's why you'll also notice that all my videos are of solo plays, because I really don't really group with anyone and haven't since about 2013. I have in-game experience playing mainly Ninja, but I also have experience playing Thief, Summoner, Dragoon, and Dark Knight, so I'll probably be doing videos on those later on, but right now the Ninja is the one that's primarily geared the best for me and the one that I play the most, so that's the one I'm going to do the video on today. First and foremost, let's just kind of go through some of the jobs and stuff I have. Before I actually stopped playing, I ended up getting all jobs to level 99, all the skills taken care of. So all my jobs are leveled and stuff. It's just a matter of how it is I want to play them. And of course getting up-to-date gear of them for today that's actually useful. Ambuscade's pretty useful for that, but we can get into that later. Crafting, I had actually maxed everything out at the time that I stopped playing in 2013. They've of course increased some of those limits now, so I've started working on that. But that's one of the areas that we're still working a little bit, but I never actually have been too much into crafting. The majority of that playtime, I'd say probably 1,950 days of it, or 1,900 days of it was before 2013, and I really haven't played that much since then, but it is a pretty insane amount of time when I look back at how much time I spent on this game between 2003 and 2013. When it comes to merit points, we're kind of all maxed out in here, so nothing too special because you can basically just max out each category, which is what I've done. For this last category here, since I play Ninja primarily as well as Summoner, I went ahead and went for critical hit rate and spell interruption rate. That'll help with both Summoner and Ninja. I didn't want to go ahead and get an enmity increase there because that was going to negatively impact when I play Summoner, so that's why you may be confused to why I didn't do that. That was the reasoning why. Went ahead and just got all the weapon skills just so that I actually had them in case I wanted to play those particular jobs. Of course, all these jobs also were completely maxed out with all their individual merits and such, but we'll get down here to Ninja like I'm referring to. And in here I actually ended up choosing to go with 5 in the subtle blow effect, which increases your subtle blow by 5, and then just putting more into my ice damage, because that's the one that for whatever reason I end up using the most, or find most useful out there. If you actually go down to group 2, I just want to go ahead and throw something into Sange just so I actually had it. I wanted to make sure I had all my sand so that there's one in each of those. And then I just dumped the rest into Ninja Tool Expertise so I could save as much there into my tools and such that I use. We go ahead and go now to job points. You'll see that I actually, of course, haven't finished this yet. Otherwise, you'd see some stars above my name tag over there. I'm getting there. We're at 1,529, so got about 571 points to go. But this is where I'm currently at. I obviously put a lot into Yonin because I have that up pretty much all the time, as well as my ninjutsu casting time and my tactical parry. Other than that, I'm just kind of spreading it out as things go, because the rest of the things, where they are useful, I just don't quite use them as much as those 3 primarily, so I'm just kind of upgrading all of those as evenly as I can. Okay, now we're going to get to the macro part of the video. I wanted to go over the macros before I went over the different gear sets because my macros relate greatly to my gear sets because I actually have a different macro bank devoted to each gear set. Let me show you how that works. If you go on Ninja here, Alt 1's always going to be Provoke in all of my banks. So you'll see that this one is for double attack, and it also tells you what that bank is. So this one's double attack, this one's my defense gear set, this one's my evasion gear set, accuracy, this is my average gear set, capacity points, this is for dancer, and then we're back at double attack. This is the double attack bank is the one that I use most of the time. So if you actually go underneath here, you'll see that it, like I said, Alt 1 is always Provoke, and then it'll make sure that gear set is equipped. Likewise, when I go to use a weapon skill, it'll use the weapon skill. It'll switch to my weapon skill gear set, use the weapon skill, wait 2, and then equip the gear set that is for this bank once again. Yinin, Inin, Mikage, Isekian, Berserk, Defender, Warcry, Aggressor. They're all just regular job abilities. There's nothing special in any of these macros. Up here for Blind, Slow, and Paralyze, we do have it switching to my Magic Accuracy gear set before it casts it, and then back to the gear set for that bank. So that'll be on all 3 of those. Then we're actually going to go to TP down, so once again, this is for the mob, so it's going to equip the Magic Accuracy gear set, and then cast that spell. Of course, for Subtle Bow Plus and Store TP Plus, it doesn't really matter if Magic Accuracy is on for those, so those are just regular job ability macros, as is the Megawari. Now for my Utsemi, for Ichi, Ni, and San, I actually will change to my Utsemi gear set, cast the spell, wait the appropriate amount of time, and then go back to my main gear set for that bank. The appropriate amount of time, just in case anyone is curious about information, for Ichi you want to wait 5 seconds, for Ni you want to wait 3, and for San you want to wait 1. So that is my double attack gear bank. Let's just say I'm in a fight and I'm in trouble, my shadows just dropped, or I see a big spell, AoE spell heading at me. What can I do? Well, I can jump up to defense and throw on my defense set, and all you have to do is just hit Provoke. Now of course if Provoke isn't up it won't cast, but it's still going to equip that set for me, which is what I really want. And once that set's on, I have much higher hit points, much higher damage reduction, and can take that hit. Likewise in here, all of my abilities are identical to the bank beneath it, as you can see. The one thing I will say that I changed here is for my weapon skill, I do not change to my weapon skill gear set on this bank. And the main reason for that is this bank has like 3,100 hit points, and that's of course so I can take that hit. If I'm weapon skilling, well, that's going to drop my hit points down, back down close to 2,000, and then right back up to 3,000 again, which is going to have to force my white mage to cure that 1,000, and it's just very counterproductive. So for my defense gear set, I've removed that change out entirely so that I maintain that 3,100 hit points anytime I'm on this bank. This little bank here is basically just for some miscellaneous stuff. This is the mount I primarily use, being Fenrir. This is my style, so it actually changes to the outfit that you normally see me in. Day and night is for what time of day it is, so it puts on the right boots so I can move as quickly as I can. Capacity puts on my capacity cape, so I get the most capacity points if I'm capacity farming. Now up to the next one, this is going to be my evasion gear set. This is of course if a mob is really going through my shadows quickly, not using AoE, and I need to really up my evasion. This is the set I'll switch to. Everything's very similar here, and I actually do switch to my weapon skill gear set for this because I'm not as concerned about my hit points as I am getting some damage in normally when I'm still in this gear set. If I go up one more, this is my accuracy gear set. This is of course what I'll use if it's 130 level monster or something and I'm just having problems actually landing hits. I'll switch to this, and of course I won't quite have as much double attack and triple attack, but I will actually start landing hits, so it's more important. And then this is my next gear set, which is average, kind of my average gear set. This one, the idea behind this one is just that it's kind of an average of all of those. So it's got good evasion, or decent evasion, decent accuracy. It still maintains the maximum damage taken reduction, and then kind of puts the rest into a good amount of double and triple attack. So it's still a good all-around set. So that's what that particular bank is for right there. This bank is purely for capacity points. If I'm out there capacity point farming, I'll throw on this bank so that the capacity point cape is always on, so I'm always getting that that extra 40% or whatever that cape I have is giving me. So that's just a bank purely for that. Other than that, I really don't use it. This bank right here is purely for casting all of my elemental ninjutsus, as well as my enmity reduction and enmity addition spell, and as well as poison. So that's where I'll actually cast those from, is this macro bank here, as well as this macro bank here. So macro banks 2 and 4 for me are set up for that. And then in between those two is my Dancer gear bank. And this is the one that basically, all my other ones are set up for Ninja Warrior. This is the bank that I use for Ninja Dancer. And obviously this one has several abilities that are different than my other ones. Might as well go through that real quick. So the first thing to note is you'll see that I do not change my gear set on here. What I'll usually do when I'm playing Dancer is pick one of the above gear sets before the fight, and then actually just stay on this bank for the fight. And then let's say during that fight I'm having a problem, I need to switch to a different gear set. I'll just go ahead and pick, for instance, average, hit Alt 1, doesn't matter that I don't have provoke, that one will switch me to the average gear set, and then I just go right back up here to capacity points and keep playing so I have access to my Dancer abilities. I'm sorry, back up here to Dancer is what I meant. So I have access to my Dancer abilities. In regards to Dancer abilities, the ones that I use during all my fights is I put up my Haste Samba, which is the one I usually use to go as quickly as possible. The other one I use, of course, if my haste is already capped, is the Drain Samba. This is my Stutter Step, so that I can get enough finishing moves to either stun, which I really enjoy stunning on Dancer. It's useful in a lot of locations on the monsters that you can land a stun on. And then likewise, you can also use Provoke, which is like all the other ones here at the beginning with Alt 1. Lastwise, in this column I have Cure and Erase set up. So that's basically all of my macros. So we will finish with that. Now let's move on to my gear sets. Okay, first set we're going to go over is my Ninja full-time gear set. This is the one that I'm basically wearing the majority of the time, unless some kind of special situation is occurring. The primary goal behind this set is critical hit rate and multiple hits per round, so double attack, triple attack, quadruple attack. You'll notice between all of my gear sets, my katanas won't change. I have my relic katana here. First off, I just wanted to point out that if anyone who's thinking this is too difficult to attain solo, I actually got this all myself over the course of a few months, about 1.5 years ago. So well after I had a link shell or any of those things or groups, it's just a matter of going into Dynamis and just farming. It's really not overly difficult, just rather time consuming. You can usually get 300 to 600 coins per round, so it really doesn't quite take what it used to get these items. I know some of the other final endgame weapons can take a little bit longer, but the relic ones really, in my opinion, are pretty darn easy to get. So I would recommend it for anyone who's actually wants to invest some time in Ninja, because it has been one of the better things that I've done since I've started playing the game again. It's great at paralyzing the enemy, and its aftermath effect is extremely helpful, as well as making sure you're not giving the enemy too much TP. Shiki is the katana I always use in my offhand. Obviously, it's not a main hand katana by any means, but in regards to an offhand katana, there really is no beating it. It's got great ability, it's got a great delay, and the ability right there that you see that says Ninja Recast Delay -3 is for all of your semi-spells, and it requires it lowers it by 3 seconds. So that can be very helpful in a fight to lower all those timers by 3 seconds using one weapon. One thing I'll show you, and this is why I'm exiting that screen, is it won't show you this in the other screen, but this also has an accuracy on it of 50 and a damage taken reduction of 5%. Those are also extremely helpful and really cannot be beaten in this slot. So if you add the accuracy from the actual katana itself plus the augment, you have a 77 accuracy gain there, which is really helpful when you're fighting some of the higher tier or higher level NMs and such in the game. So that's the katanas. That'll stay the same between all of my gear sets. Let's move on to the ammo. That actually will change. You can change your ammo without resetting your TP, so I've taken advantage of that, and I actually change it between all my gear sets. For this gear set, critical hit rate 2% and a critical hit damage of 6% is what I'm getting through this ammo piece. Works great. You can get it off the auction house. Its non-+1 version is cheaper, but I was fortunate enough to get this at a pretty low price, so I did end up getting this version. We also have a Brutal Earring here that's giving us 5% double attack, and a Sassance Earring that's giving us 3% double attack. Additionally, both of these two are adding us a total of 4 store TP as well, which is helping us get TP just a little bit faster. Next is the Portus collar, which is just adding another double attack of 3% on there. There are definitely some better collars out there in the end game. Sadly, since I don't have a link shell or can take part in any of the main end game content now, like Omen and such, I'm kind of limited in what I can do, so this is what I've ended up choosing to go with. I'm pretty happy with it, but just saying that there are other ones out there, if you do have a link shell and stuff, that there are better pieces for this slot. When it comes to the gear, in regards to the body armor and legs, feet, hands, and head, I'll go with the same set for this, which is the Kendut Saba set. You can just buy this off the auction house. It's usually a couple million for each piece, so not overly priced. I will say the plus ones are a little obscene in the price, like the 50 to 70 million. But these regular versions are just fine. They work very well, and they have the exact stats that we're really going for in this set, in the triple attack, and then of course also the critical hit rate. So for this set, there really is no beating this Kendut Saba series of armor. The other thing that's nice about this is it once again adds on some more subtle blow, so that really your subtle blow is maxed with this set. So even though you're swinging so furiously, you're giving the enemy as fewest TP as possible from all these hits. For my rings, I'm just using the Epona's ring, which is of course adding 3 double attack and 3% triple attack. And then Petrov ring, which is just a 1% double attack, but has some other nice benefits in it in regards to the enmity and store TP, so that's why I've ended up using that for this gear set. Additionally, we have the Wind Buffet belt. You don't really have to go with the +1 version. I just happened to get that from a chest, so it worked out kind of nicely. That's adding another 2% triple attack and 2% quadruple attack. Additionally, we have the cape here, the Angarita's mantle. The specs that we get on this are actually for double attack 10% and damage taken -5%. So that's how I kind of chose to augment my DD cape. The dex is the multiplier for my weapon skill that I'm getting this Blade Metsu here. So that's why you're seeing the dex there of a modifier of +195, because that's the main thing I focused on with both my back and some of these other pieces. So that should be all it for my DD set. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put up on the right hand side there kind of a summary of what this set gives me, just so you can kind of compare the different sets and have an idea of exactly how they're different. Because when it comes to some of these endgame sets, so many of them add so many stats at this point that it's difficult to determine when they're all put together just how much you're getting. So I'll try and do that for each one of these gear sets, just to give you an idea of how they are different when added all together. Okay, the next set we're going to go over is the Utsemi set. This is the one that I switch to every time I try and put shadows back up using Utsemi Ichi, Ni, or Sand. Now the first thing I want to point out about this set, because this is really important, is you need the hit points of the total hit points that this set gives you to be almost the exact same as what your DD set gives you, the set that you normally use. Otherwise, when you switch to the set and then switch back, you're either going to be lessening your hit points a lot or increasing it by a lot and then losing it again. Either way, forcing your white mage to cure you unnecessarily. So some of these pieces in this set are specifically for that purpose of basically making sure those hit points are the same. So if we look at my DD set, 2268 hit points is what it is we're looking to get that I have when I have my primary set equipped. So if I go ahead and try and cast Utsemi really quick, it'll switch me to my Utsemi set. And this is what that set looks like. Now you'll look immediately at the hit points, 2278, so 10 hit points off of the last one. So that way we can switch back and forth without the hit points dropping or going up and down too much. So obviously the two katanas are the same. If we go to the ammo piece, I've swapped that out for the Staunch Tathlon, which is pretty neat because it reduces your damage taken by 2%, and a common trait that you can't really see anywhere, get in many places, is the spellcasting interruption rate down to 10%, which is pretty substantial. So that way, you have a 1 in 10 chance of, even if he does hit you while you're casting Utsemi, that you're still going to get that spell off. Additionally, we have the resistance to all status ailments +10, which of course can't hurt. Now the primary goal behind this set is, other than of course making sure the hit points are relatively the same as my primary set, is to make sure my evasion is as high as possible, but I've still maxed out my damage reduction at 50%, and that lastly, I'm lowering my spellcasting time, my Utsemi spellcasting time, by as much as possible. So these two earring pieces, this first one adds hit points, it adds evasion, adds magic evasion, so overall it's a nice piece I feel for that slot when putting shadows back up. This one I think most people kind of think is kind of a silly piece. At only 55 hit points is what I'm getting out of this. But again, I needed to somehow get the hit points back up to where they needed to be so that the two sets are equal. So this was one of the pieces I had to use in order to do that. Another piece that I had to use in order to do that was this one roast belt, adding another 55. So the 110 that I get between those two is what made it so that I don't lose 100 hit points every time I switch to this Utsemi set. Next piece I'll go over is the Mangora bead necklace. This just lowers my overall Utsemi spellcasting time by 10%. My body piece here, the Mochitsu chainmail, I know I butchered that name, is also lowering it an additional 10%. So between the two of those, we're lowering Utsemi spellcasting by 20%, which is pretty nice. Additionally, this set also adds a good amount of evasion and magic evasion, which helps out. The Hitsamaru Somen piece, I'm basically using because its evasion is so high. So it really boosts my evasion numbers. At 90 there you see it. And the magic evasion of 59 is also very nice. So that's a piece that I use when trying to avoid attacks when putting shadows back up for the head. For the hands, the piece that I use is this Mochitsu Tenko. And the main reason I use this is it has, okay evasion and magic evasion on it, but really it's for that ninja tool expertise, just because you're casting Utsemi shadows so often that I found that really helps out in making it so that you really don't even use many tools when you combine this with some of the other ninja tool expertise benefits, like for instance you get from this katana here. And that we got from our merits that I showed you earlier. We got 15 from that as well. So that makes it so that over half the time you're not expending a tool, which is pretty nice. Now for the rings, Portilus Amulet here increases your evasion skill and your parrying skill by 5. This is really nice because evasion skill is much harder to come by than evasion, and they are different. Your skill actually increases your overall ability to dodge that attack more so than evasion does. So it's a very nice ring that you can get from Dynamis Tans, and it's I think a really appropriate piece for this set. The other one is of course the defending ring. This is basically to make sure that we can max out on our damage taken reduction and making sure that we're maxing at 50%, so that if for whatever reason they do hit us when shadows are down, we're taking the least damage as possible. The cape that I use for this is the Andara's Mantle, but we switch it out from the DD cape. First off, I will point out that this gives us an additional shadow, so this is absolutely crucial to this set because that extra shadow is very helpful. And then additionally, it adds 20 agi, which helps with our evasion, adds an additional 30 magic evasion, an additional 20 evasion, adds a little bit of fast cast in there once again to kind of help us cast that Utsemi as quickly as possible. And then I also threw a damage taken of -5% to make sure that once again we're at that damage reduction cap of -50% at all times. So I think the last two pieces I need to go over now are the legs and the feet. So for the legs, I'm using the Mumu Kex here. And the primary reason for this is, one, it has decent evasion and magic evasion. I mean, that magic evasion of 107 is very nice. But the main reason we're using this is that damage taken reduction of 5%. This is the last piece of all of our damage taken pieces that makes sure that we are always capped, especially when this set is on at the 50% damage reduction. The last piece we'll talk about here in this set is the Hattori Kayan. This piece is basically there for that Utsemi +1. Obviously the evasion of 80 and the magic evasion of 75 is very nice, but this also, that Utsemi +1 gives you an additional shadow. So between this piece and this piece, we're adding 2 additional shadows, and then between this and this, we're reducing our spellcasting time 20%, and then an additional 30% to fast cast. I know, but it doesn't quite equate out the same, but you get the idea. All of it's just meant to kind of help you cast those shadows as quickly as possible. So that's the Utsemi set. We will now move on to our next one. Okay, the next set we're going to talk about is my defense set. This is the set that I swap to anytime I'm in trouble, or if I'm going against a particular boss or monster that really can hit me for a lot harder than the 2,000 hit points or 2,200 that I normally have. So really the main goal behind this set is hit points. Obviously, I've also capped our damage reduction at 50%, but that's relatively easy to do these days. So really, the primary focus of this set is just getting as much hit points as possible. As you can see, without food, I'm up to 3,142. So it's enough to live through most most things besides like 10,000 needles and stuff. So let's just kind of go through how it is we get that hit point and kind of how this differs from the Utsemi set, because there are similarities. First off, you'll notice that I'm using the same ammo piece, the same 2 earrings, the same belt as well, and that is and also the same defending ring. The differences in the accessories come with the Meridian ring to give me an extra 90 hit points, the Moonbeam cape to give me an extra 250 hit points, and then of course that damage taken also helps me get to that damage cap, or damage reduction cap. And then lastly, the Inquisitor bead necklace. And basically at this point I just needed some more hit points, and then that magic def bonus is a nice little bonus as well, considering most of the things that are going to hit me when I use this set are going to be magic related in some way. So that was one of the goals of this set as well, is to make that magic def bonus as high as possible. Especially since that actually helps you beyond the damage reduction cap of 50% that you've already reached. And then the last pieces we're going to talk about are they're all Naga pieces that I'm using for the main armor. And if you actually see them, the main reason we're using them is because of the hit points that they're adding. So this one adds 86 natively, and then once you see the my apologies. Once you see the additional augment I put on it, it adds an additional 50. So overall we're adding 136 there. And then of course it's got a nice stat on it as well as the magic damage taken minus 3%. And then still has some good evasion, magic evasion, and then some additional evasion added through the augment. Body's similar in that it has decent evasion, decent magic evasion, and a magic def bonus. But then once again, you get to the hit points, it adds another 50 on top of the 119 that it's already giving you for the body. So that's 169 hit points that it's giving you there. So that's a sizable amount that you really can't get in any other piece. Here it is, the Naga Teko. This one, damage taken is reduce an additional 2%, so that helps a lot. And then additionally, once again, 50 hit points plus the native 65 it has on there. That's 115 more that we're adding. That just helps, getting us the ability to survive these attacks. Next, the Naga Hakama. This is 97 hit points plus, of course, once again the 50, 147 hit points more. Still has decent evasion and magic evasion on it, and magic def bonus, but it's really those hit points of why it is we've used this piece. Lastly, the Naga boots. These nice. They have a double attack stat on them, but really what we use them for is the evasion, the magic evasion, and then again, once again, a total hit points of 113 for this piece. So all these added up make sure that we still have that damage reduction maximum of minus 50. And of course, I'm including that with shell that I'm assuming that you're going to have from a white mage. And then additionally, you have hit points of 3,142, so you're going to be able to survive most things. So that's it for the def set. Basically, you just switch to this when you're in trouble and need to survive as long as you can, to switch back to your damage set to kind of finish off whatever it is you're fighting. We will now move on to the next set. Okay, the next set we're going to talk about is the Evasion Set. You'll most frequently use this when you are going up against a boss that is maybe stripping the shadows away too quickly, and it's not because of AoE, or if most frequently if I'm an Omen and I've accidentally aggroed 3 to 6 monsters and I need to buy myself a minute or so to cut through 1 or 2 of them, I'll switch to this Evasion Set and almost all of their hits I'll evade. And therefore it buys me the time I need to make it a more manageable situation, so I can then swap back to my DD set to take out the rest of them. So those are the primary 2 purposes of this. The other thing that's important is that once again we're trying to keep it around that 2250 number for hit points, so that our hit points aren't drastically going up and down when we're swapping between these sets. So there's the 2 katanas, of course, are the same. The ammo piece, we swapped in something new, which is Anamar Cluster. This helps us with an evasion of 10 and a counter +2. For the earring, we've kept the same Ibani earring that we had from the Utsemi set and the defense set. Still very useful, both from its evasion standpoint and from the hit points it adds, to get us back to that 2250 number. The next one we swapped in here is an infused earring. This adds an agi of 4, which of course will help with your evasion, an evasion of 10, and it's a nice little regen number on there as well, just to give you an extra tick every tick. The next one we're going to talk about is the Yorak Torque. This has a nice evasion skill on it of 15. Again, evasion skill is much more useful than just regular evasion, so that is actually a very nice neck piece for evading the enemy. For the headpiece here, we have the Hizaru Somin. This is the same thing we were using in our semi-set, just because it has the highest evasion number of any of the pieces I have on this particular head slot. Next piece we'll talk about is the body. This is the Hizaru Harakami. I can't pronounce that, but this entire set is Hizamaru set. It's very good at evasion. He has very high evasion numbers, which is why it's used in this gear set. So the evasion on this one is 95, and it's also, once again, adding a regen of 12. So as you're evading all these attacks, both with the regen we spoken of earlier, plus that, it is really helping per tick to kind of make sure that you can survive things, and are keeping your hit points up. Next one's the Hizamaru Coat. Once again, evasion of 76, you really can't beat that in this slot. And the counter effect as well that comes with all this is helpful as well with evading, because instead of evading, you can counter the enemy. The Hizamaru Ring I've added to this, both to complete the set to make sure we can counter, and then it also is really nice at the evasion of 12. It's a good piece. We've brought in the Portus Amulet again because of that evasion skill of 5. It makes it a really nice piece in that slot. Next, we're going to talk about the feet. Evasion of 114. You're definitely not beating that in this slot, at least for the gear I have. So that's the main reason it's there. The Hizamaru legs are adding another 81 evasion. The belt, this is another evasion skill piece. So between this, the Yorak Torque, and the Portus Amulet, we are adding 25 evasion skill on top of things like my merits, etc. So that's really adding a substantial amount. The last thing we're adding is the mantle here, which is the same one that we used from earlier with the evasion and magic evasion on it. Also in a huge amount of agi, so that with all of this stuff put together, we're adding 150 agi. That's good for about 75 more eva. So this is overall, this set is focused on one thing only, and that's really to keep your evasion numbers as high as possible. That's about it for this set. We'll be moving on to the next one. Okay, this next gear set is the accuracy gear set. If you're going against a boss or something and he's level 128 or 130 and you're missing 80% of your hits, all those double and triple attacks really aren't doing you much good considering you're missing all of them. So that's when a good time is to throw on this set and make sure that you're actually hitting on the hits and connecting and actually increasing your TP as opposed to just whiffing the entire time. So this set's primary focus is, of course, accuracy. The two katanas are the exact same. We've kept our Amar cluster from the Evasion set because it still has that great accuracy number on there of 10. We've swapped in 2 Mach earrings. You can get these in the auction house fairly inexpensively. They add together between them add accuracy of 7 each, plus that dex adds another 2.5. Because basically you have dex in half, and that gives you, or every 2 dex gives you 1 accuracy, is what I'm trying to say. So 9.5 accuracy for each of those. That's 19 accuracy you're getting between those 2 earrings. That helps out substantially. Doesn't hurt that it's throwing in a double attack of 2% for both those as well. The katana skill in this one is adding 15 accuracy, so that helps. The Mumu set is what we're using for our armor because it is basically the best set in regards to accuracy. As you can see, it adds 44 accuracy with this piece. Also helps with your crit rate. It adds 46 accuracy with this set. Again, helps with your hit rate. Your critical hit rate. This, the Mumu wrist, add 43 accuracy. This one helps with double attack as well, so you're even getting some more double attack in there. As well as a critical hit rate of 6% is being added as well. The legs, you're getting a critical hit rate of 7. That accuracy is still very high at 45 that you're getting. And then you're also having that damage taken helping you out survive things as well. The Mumu Gamishes are really helpful because of the accuracy of 42. And then you're still helping a critical hit rate of 5. So these are really nice pieces because of their accuracy, but they do have some other nice benefits on them as well that do help you. Because as much as this is an accuracy set, it's also a DD set because you're still trying to do damage in this situation. So it is good that some of these pieces here do offer you things like double attack and critical hit rate increase, because as those things will substantially help with your damage over time. For the belt, we've just added an Anguous belt, which basically is there, of course, just to add that accuracy stat of 15. For our rings, we have a Moo ring, which adds 6 accuracy, 3 critical hit rate, and then of course the set, because we have the entire set here, also increases dexterity, which helps out overall with accuracy. Otto also added that Portus Amulet one more time because of its accuracy of 7. And then lastly we have the Andaria mantle, and we switch back to our DD mantle because it has that dex of 20 and accuracy of 30, so overall this piece is giving us an accuracy of 40. And of course that double attack doesn't hurt. That is it for this set. We will now move on to the next one. Okay, the next set I'm going to go over is the weapon skill set. The primary thing I'm going for in this set is just to increase overall weapon skill damage. If you go up here to the ammo slot, you'll see that I'm using the Tsula +1 again to increase both my critical hit rate and my critical hit damage. I'm using a Brutal Earring to increase my double attack rate by 5% when I'm weapon skill. Additionally, I'm using the Ishvara Earring, which increases weapon skill damage +2. I'm using both the Breeze Gorget and the Breeze Belt, which increases weapon skill accuracy and damage each. The Breeze Belt also comes with that Conserve TP ability, which is nice when that kicks in. It actually gives you TP back even after you weapon skill. The next piece I'll go over is the Hatsuda Hatsuri. I didn't pronounce that right either, but this piece right here. If you look, the main reason this is added is because the weapon skill damage +5% is a substantial increase for a weapon skill. If you go to the first ring, you'll also see that we add 3% weapon skill damage there as well. It also has a regain effect on it, which of course doesn't really kick in during the weapon skill, and a weapon skill accuracy of 5. I wear the opponent's ring for weapon skilling as well, because that increases the chances of me double attacking or triple attacking by roughly 6%. The body piece that I'm using is Kendatsuba Semu and Kendatsuba Teko, and both of those are basically for the triple attack and the critical hit rate feature of both of those pieces. For the legs, I'm going to be using the Hitsamaru Hizoroi. The main reason I'm using this is for that weapon skill damage +7 modifier you see right there. For the feet, I'm using the Kendatsuba Sun 8. And this is once again just like the other body and hand pieces for increasing the chances that I will do a triple attack or that a critical hit will go off during my weapon skill. Last one I'll go over is the mantle. I actually weigh one specifically for the weapon skill. This one increases weapon skill damage by 10% more, and additionally adds in some accuracy and the dex, which is the modifier for the weapon skill that I use. So it adds some more damage that way. And that should be it for the weapon skill set. Okay, the next set we're going to go over is the average gear set. The primary time that I use this is when I'm using Dancer as my sub job, and I want a little more durability in my build, but I still want to be able to do a good amount of damage. So basically what I've done is I've just taken my DD build and just swapped in 3 pieces to make sure I've capped my damage taken reduction. The first one is this Twilight Torque, the next one is this Defending Ring, and the third piece I swap in is the Ebony Earring, just for additional magic evasion, and the evasion and hit points of course help as well. Everything else you'll see in this gear set are just the exact same pieces that I had in my DD set, which is basically a bunch of triple attack, quadruple attack, and double attack gear, along with the Kendatsuba armor set. And all this together, like I said, allows me to hit the 50% damage reduction cap and still do as much damage as possible in each round. So that's it for all of the gear sets that are actually swapped to directly from my macros menu in the different banks. However, we do still have a few other gear sets that are here that we use inside of those banks. One of them is going to be Ninja Magic Accuracy. This is of course the one that it switches to when I'm trying to enfeeble the enemy or basically cast any spell on them that isn't an elemental damage spell. That set is taken up by the Mumu set, the Mumu Jacket Moo Bonnet, Moo Wrist, Moo Kex, and Moo Gamishes. The reason those are in there is because all of these pieces have a very high magical accuracy on them. 44 there, 46, 43, 45, and 42, all magical accuracy. So these will really help making sure you land those hits. Additionally, I've tossed in an Ovate Rope, which helps additionally with magic accuracy. Perception Ring, which helps with that magic accuracy. The Atana Ring, once again, magic accuracy. We have Lightstorm Earring paired with Psystorm Earring, with again, will give you a, if you add those two together, magic accuracy of plus 12. We have the Sanctity Necklace, which gives you another magic accuracy of 10. And then for the ammo piece, we've swapped in the Hydrocera, which is another magic accuracy of 6. The last thing I will mention is the Yokaz Mantle. This is the one time I actually won't use the endgame mantle from Ambuscade, because this has a really nice magic accuracy of 15 on it. So all those put together, and if that spell doesn't land, then there's a good chance it's never going to land. So that's, in my opinion, a pretty good magic accuracy set. Now we'll move on to the Magic Attack set, which basically is used in the exact same reasons but for elemental ninjutsu magic as opposed to enfeebling ninjutsu magic. So basically our primary focus here is going to be magic attack. For that we have the Grenade Core, which has a magic attack bonus of 5. The Frio Missy Earring, which adds a magic attack bonus of 10. The Hikate's Earring, which a magic attack bonus of 6, and then the 3% of the time that the magical critical hit rate kicks in, it really does make that damage spike really high, which is nice. The Sanctity Necklace not only has the magic accuracy on it, but also has the magic attack bonus, so overall it's a really nice piece for your ninjutsu spells. For the Machitsu Hatsasuri, butchered that one, that is primarily there for the ninjutsu damage plus 15 that you see there. The Lapidary Tunic is there specifically for the magic attack bonus plus 20 that you see. Otherwise, that you really wouldn't use that piece for ninja, but it's really used for that one purpose. Next is the Moo Wrist. The main reason this is put in there because it has a magic accuracy of 43, and I really couldn't find much else to help in this slot. So I figured, if anything, let's go ahead and add some magic accuracy to help that elemental spell land. We added an Acumen Ring, which added a magic attack bonus of 4, and an Atana Ring. Once again, I didn't really find anything else that was available to me that could add the magic attack bonus, but I at least figured let's try and make that spell land, so we added a magic accuracy of 7. For the Cape, we've added a Toro Cape, which is a magic attack bonus of 10, a Saliri Belt, which is a magic attack bonus of 4, and a magic accuracy of 4, which helps. The Moo Kex, once again, this is one of those slots that we really didn't have anything that was going to help us out magic attack bonus-wise, so I went ahead and went for the Moo again, so that we can have the magic accuracy of 45. The same can be said of the Moo Gamishes with the magic accuracy of 42, because again, I just couldn't find anything in that slot for ninja that could add to attack bonus. That should be it for the magic attack bonus set. We will now move on to, we've already done Def. We'll move on to the Cap set, and all this really is it's my regular DD set that I would use to get capacity points in, but we've added in this Cape that gives me 33 points, or 33% or something. 1 second. Cape adds in, 29%. Now, I of course have never done the event that lets you get this Cape, which is a shame. You need multiple people to go in, and as I've alluded to, I don't group. And this was kind of after my time of when I was in a link shell. But fortunately, I was able to get this out of a Gavi box, so that was very fortunate on my part. So this is the Cape that I use to farm capacity points in. Other than that, I think the only other gear set I have is the one that you're used to seeing me in, and that's just my style gear set. And that's just this one right here, which basically just makes me look as it is that I normally want to look. The Hachiru Hate 8 set, which is basically one of the last sets I acquired before I stopped playing. Those are some of the last bosses my link shell and I took down. And then just a bunch of random style gear, nothing real special. There's the Kanagi that I never actually finished. I was actually working on that when we stopped playing in 2013, and then when I picked it back up, I realized it was going to be much easier for me just to start and finish a Kikoku as it was for me to actually do the Kanagi, so that's why I ended up doing it that way. And that should be it. So I'll go ahead and swap to my style set. And I hope this video has been informative. I hope I actually did a good job explaining things and that you could understand me. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And everyone enjoy. Take care.